and welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video and thank you for joining me. So today's story is a very sad one. It's the story of Rebecca Cheptegei, and this story happened over the summer, towards the tail end of summer in September, and it was, yes, I don't know, for me, when I saw it covered, it was covered in the news by mainly sports media, and yeah, I mean, it was covered in the news as well, but mainly quite a lot in the sports media. I could be wrong about that though, but for me, this is where I kind of got a lot of information through sports media as it was unraveling and happening in real time. Today's story is the story of Rebecca Cheptegei, a female Olympian, a great athlete, and a devoted mother whose life was stolen too soon. This story hit quite hard as I'm a huge athletics fan. Like, I follow athletics throughout all the meets during the year, kind of thing, and I was very much watching the Olympics over the summer, kind of thing, and I watched the marathon, like all of it from beginning to end. And yes, I'd watched her competing in the women's marathon that Hassan ended up winning. That lady is, yeah, I like her. She's fun. Let's say she's fun, but yeah, she's a bit crazy. She's crazy, but she's fun. Anyway, yeah, so who are we talking about, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, or for those of you who do not know who that is or who I am speaking of? I'm talking about the athletically gifted, and I don't use that lightly, athletically gifted middle distance runner slash cross country runner slash marathon runner. She did it all. She did it all. Rebecca came from a very huge family. Her parents had 13 kids altogether, and she's the second of 13 kids. And that mother, I take off my hat to her because that's a lot of pregnancies. She was born in Chemini, Uganda, and I think reportedly she was born on the 22nd of February 1991. So she was 33 years old. So yeah, very young, especially considering that for most athletes at that age, her age, I think early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, usually they are at that period where transitioning from track to marathon running, depending on one's aspirations and what they want to achieve. But mostly, yes, they do transition to doing marathon running around that age. Yeah, so she grew up in Uganda, and she joined Uganda People's Defense Forces, and apparently she actually got as far as, she rose through the ranks and eventually got to be a sergeant. She was a member of the athletics club within the Uganda People's Defense Forces, and she excelled in that. Like, some people have a natural gift for things. So she competed and represented Uganda People's Defense Forces in various competitions that they took part in, and she specialized in the 1500 meters at first. She began her athletic career around 2010, so a couple of years after joining the force. So yes, it was in 2010, when she was just 19 years old, that she got a first taste of a win, in that sense, in the, I guess, in the bigger stage of the athletic world and the athletic career. She got a first win in the 1500 meter, her debut, actually, because it was the first time she'd actually done this, and it was her debut, and she ended up winning the 1500 meter, and it was in Munich, I believe. After that win in Munich, she went back to Uganda and competed in the 10,000, and she actually came out with a win there as well. Sis was gifted, but yes, she just carried on, the momentum of entering competitions and racing. And after that, in 2014, she went to China and competed in a half marathon, where she ended up coming third in that competition. And then again, same year after that, she competed to Spain in Santa Pola. She competed in a 10-kilometer race, and she ended up winning that one. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. This is made even more incredible. So she had a child in 2013, around 2013, and then ended up racing again the following year. Honestly, mind-boggling. It's incredible. It's just out of this world. It's one tough lady, I tell you that much. So yeah, like I said, in 2013 she had a first child, and 2 years later, around 2015, she had her second daughter, and those would be her only children. Like, those would be her children, because both of them now are 9 and 11 years of age. By all accounts, for the most part, it appears that she was a single mother, taking care of her children whilst maintaining a career, which often required her to travel quite a lot, whether it be abroad or within Africa. There's still a tremendous level of traveling. Which, all this to say, yeah, none of this must have been easy for her. All this traveling away from her family. But oh yeah, no, it cannot have been easy for her. Over the years, she competed in these various distances and various races across the countries, and she had like varying levels of success. But so now we move to 2021. It was in 2021 when she decided to move to Kenya. Now, some reports suggest that it was at her boyfriend's boyfriend at the time, it was his suggestion and idea to move to Kenya. There might be a little bit of something to that, in that sense that it will go away towards explaining somewhat his entitlement to her success. Now, I don't know. We were not part of those conversations. We will probably never know. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Point is, she did end up moving to Kenya. And so in 2021, she purchased a piece of land. She, just remember that. She purchased a piece of land, Trans Nzoia County in Kenya. So she purchased this piece of land and she built her home there, with her 2 children with her, and her boyfriend at the time also moved there with her. Now, a little bit about the boyfriend. So the boyfriend's name is Dixon Ndiema Arangach. If I'm mispronouncing that, again, I would like to apologize. From now on, I'm just going to refer to him as Dixon or other applicable words. Dixon himself was reportedly a struggling motorcycle taxi driver, and he himself had athletic aspirations at one point. So that was quite interesting. And reportedly, I think they had met, or she had met him during one of her training visits whilst in Kenya. So touch a little bit about why she wanted to move to Kenya, why she had those training visits there in Kenya. The Trans Nzoia County and region in Kenya is mainly populated with a lot of runners who train there. Kenya itself has a number of athletic facilities that are renowned. A lot of wonderful athletes have trained there that have gone on to achieve great success in the athletic field. So she was looking to move there, and she eventually moved there, actually. So she moved there for the access and the proximity to those training facilities and those other great athletes that were also training there. The region itself, like, something that kind of sets these kind of facilities apart and why they're so sought after is it's because of the geographical location that they are in. The region itself is at a high altitude. It's reportedly 2,500 meters above sea level. What does this mean, you ask? According to World Athletics, the higher the altitude, the lower the atmospheric pressure, which makes it harder for the body to transfer oxygen into the blood. In response to this situation, the brain triggers the increased production of the hormone EPO. I'm going to butcher this word and I would like to apologize. I think it's pronounced erythropoietin. I would like to apologize again, but I will put it on the screen so you can see how it's spelled. Encouraging the body to make more red blood cells to better transport the oxygen available. This means over time, the body begins to transport the limited oxygen better than when it first arrived at altitude. When an athlete then returns to sea level, this increased level of blood cells coupled with the higher atmospheric pressure means the body is better able to transport oxygen, and an athlete's aerobic capacity is increased. So simply put, for me, altitude training forces your body to adapt to levels of oxygen, hence enhancing one's athletic performance and abilities, giving them an advantage upon return to lower altitudes. So yeah, this is why Rebecca ended up moving to Kenya to be closer to those facilities. And almost immediately the following year, she started noticing the results in her performance. So 2022 is considered to have been her breakout year within within the athletics world. As amongst her wins that year, she had her first marathon win that year. And so she ran a race in Italy in a time of 2 hours and 31 minutes. Just to contextualize that, the average time for running a marathon is around 4 hours and 30 minutes across the world, irregardless of gender. That's like almost halving that. That's incredible. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculously good. She further lowered her marathon time actually later that year in Abu Dhabi by running a marathon and completing it in 2 hours, 22 minutes and 47 seconds. She took her time down by almost 10 minutes in a matter of months. That's crazy. But with that time, she didn't come away with a win there in Abu Dhabi. She came second. Still a wonderful achievement though in itself, but that's still a wonderful achievement that she managed to achieve. So with that time that she ran in Abu Dhabi, 2 hours, 22 minutes and 47 seconds, she became Uganda's second fastest female marathon runner of all time. Again, that year, she ran another marathon in Italy where she came third, ran another brilliant time. In 2024, she represented Uganda. She was chosen and she represented Uganda in the 2024 Paris Olympics. And this was going to be her debut at the Olympics. She'd never been to the Olympics before. So she ran that race, she ran the marathon. I watched all of it, and she ended up coming 44th in that race. That's still a wonderful achievement in itself, coming 44th. Out of every single female athlete in terms of marathon runners, she came 44th. That's a lot of countries, a lot of people, a lot of women, a lot of running. She came 44th. So like she was simply elite. Which brings us to the horrible events that led up to that harrowing and devastating Sunday and what had led up to it. According to reports, Rebecca and Dixon, the men that she had moved in with in Kenya, they had been together for a while. Hard to know, hard to tell exactly how long they've been together, but they'd been together for a while. Apparently, they began to have relationship problems. Reportedly, their problems began in 2023. So a year after actually she had her breakthrough year. I bring this up because I don't think it's a coincidence that their problems started to happen a year after she actually began to have world recognition in the world stage of athletics. And I say this because reportedly the main source of their conflict was money issues and money related. Her money. And basically he wanted access to it as she was managing her own finances whilst taking care of her broader family as well. I guess he didn't have as much access as he desired. So the relationship ended up kind of deteriorating. Not actually kind of, it ended up deteriorating, and it deteriorated and soured to the point that Rebecca ended up breaking it off with Dixon. No doubt he was not happy about that. He was not happy about that because he saw those local currency signs walking away from him. Based on what ended up happening later on, I don't know how much you care and love somebody if you can actually end up doing that to somebody. So yes, I question his motives. But as you can tell, I'm not a fan of his. What preceded the breakup was dispute over the land that she had purchased. She had purchased, just to contextualize it, elite athletes can earn in one single race more than the average Kenyan person can earn in a whole year. In a single race. Imagine that in a single race, you earn more than somebody will earn in a whole year. So yes, that's a lot of money, and he would not have wanted to lose touch with that and her success, and he wanted proximity to her success. And I don't know, I guess he was willing to do abhorrent things, and desperate. I don't know. Anyway, yes, this is a horrible man. These land disputes had gotten physical, and by physical I mean he got physical with her. He'd gotten physical on more than one occasion because, reportedly according to her father, she had filed complaints with the police several times, at the minimum 3 times that she had filed complaints against him. So yes, He was not happy that she had walked out of a toxic situation. She was moving past the relationship. She was thriving. She was a single mom who was also actually managing to take care of a lot of other people, and that's including her broader family, her mom and dad, her siblings. So yes, no, she was a badass woman who was thriving, and she's described as very straightforward, strong-willed, and when she says no, she means no. So no, I don't think he would have been pleased with that at all. I don't think he would have been pleased with her asserting herself, her independence and her not needing him at all, or not wanting him in her life at all anymore. I have no doubt that must have really gotten under his skin. The lack of control, the hurt got under his skin so much so that he felt like the little man that he was. He resorted to exerting physical intimidation over her. Whilst I understand and recognize that there's cultural nuances around this, i.e. societal norms, gender roles, cultural beliefs, etc., etc., what it comes down to me is that he could not take an L, and like a normal functioning human being, a well-adjusted normal human being, he could not move on and accept the situation for what it was. He resorted to threatening her fundamental human right, a right to safety, a right for, we all have the right to feel safe. He resorted to threatening her right to feeling safe in her own home. And testament to her character, though, is that she did not stay quiet. She did not stay quiet about the situation. Rather than staying quiet about it, as it commonly happens sometimes, partly due to, I guess, fear of cultural complications and implications, etc., she reported him several times to the police. In fact, reportedly, Rebecca's father himself expressed his concerns to the police around his daughter's safety and his concerns that one day Dixon might unalive his daughter, because in February of 2024, so earlier this year, Dixon had horribly beaten her and broken her phone, according to her father. Rebecca's last complaint that she filed against him was August 30th of this year. So just 2 days before this man did what he did. 2 days. Unfortunately, none of this deterred or prevented him from carrying out these horrible atrocities. The day was Sunday, the 1st of September 2024. So Rebecca, her younger sister, and her 2 children had woken up like normal, had woken up like most Sundays, had gotten ready and had gone to church. Dixon, on the other hand, woke up that Sunday morning with different thoughts altogether. He should have gone to church, if you ask me. Reportedly, malignant Dixon had called up a friend of his that morning and had asked him if he had a lighter he could borrow, and something about an emergency and how he had to head out of town, etc., blah 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 blah. The friend reportedly then inquired further as to what was going on and for what reason he was asking for a lighter, etc. Reportedly, again, according to the friend, malignant Dixon got very, very secretive on him asking him further questions, and yes, he got very, very secretive, not wanting to divulge information about his heinous plan for that day, no doubt. Then ended up not lending him the lighter or not giving him the lighter, but somehow Dixon managed to get his hands on one anyway. What proceeded then was Dixon obtained a 5-liter can of gasoline, made his way to Rebecca's property, home, sanctuary, and he snuck in and waited. Now it's unclear whether Rebecca had been at home already and come back from church with the kids and the sister, or stumbled across him upon their return from church. But what happened next is absolutely horrific. You are warned. It is absolutely horrific. So the gasoline container that this man had brought with him, and I'm using man very loosely because this is no real man behavior. the gasoline container that he had brought with him. This man, this evil man, opened the container and doused Rebecca in the gasoline, and he lit her on fire right there. And there's a lot of steps in between where he could have changed his mind before any of this. He took a lot of steps. It didn't just happen. It's a special place in hell for people like this. Really, the people who want to. He wanted her to suffer, just pure evil. So he lit her on fire. And upon this, reportedly, the neighbor heard screaming, which was Rebecca. It was her cries for help as she was ablaze in fire. Yeah, no doubt that it was cries of utter pain and the neighbor heard Rebecca's cries of pain and went outside to try and help. I don't think even she would have been prepared for what she saw. But yeah, so she did her best to try and help. In the process of trying to help Rebecca, she saw Dixon running away, running off, whatever we want to call it. He did not stick around. Anyway, so it turns out that as he was pouring the gasoline on Rebecca, he had accidentally poured some on himself as well. And when he lit her on fire, and when he lit the lighter, he ended up lighting himself as well. Absolute genius. So he was probably running off to try and put off the fire from himself. Emergency services were called and they arrived at the scene at Rebecca's home, and they were both taken to a hospital in Kenya. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were taken to the same hospital. And Rebecca suffered around 80% burns to her body. Not many people survive when there's that much damage done to their body. Yeah, so her pain immeasurable, unimaginable, and I can only imagine what she went through. It was just pure evil. Yeah, so the hospital did everything they could to try and help her, including the doctors, the nurses, and Rebecca herself fought like hell. But sadly, she slipped away and left this earth on the 5th of September. So 4 or 5 days later, she slipped away and passed. And Dixon himself passed a few days after Rebecca had. I have no feelings for what happened to that man. He wanted that woman to suffer in the worst way possible. And he thought probably that he would get away with it as well. I can't with like people like this. They exist among us. What's especially cutting and sad is the fact that she did things right. She did all the things you're supposed to do when you're in a situation like that. She reported him. She talked to her family about it. Did not try to keep what was happening to her a secret, which often sometimes happens for a number of reasons. She did things right. It's deeply saddening and frightening that none of that was enough to help protect and save her from this horrific thing that happened to her. Now, I understand that there's conversations to be had around the legal structures and the legal frameworks surrounding the reporting of such cases. This man wanted to be in complete control, but she was not having any of it. So she fought him until the very end. I don't know. I guess the only glimmer is that he didn't get what he wanted. He did not get what he wanted. But again, so like I said, whilst there's conversation to be had, it is just bloody horrible. It is just horrible what happened. Horrible. I even want to talk about the trauma that her children, sister went through, because reportedly they witnessed all of this happening. Yeah, her extended family, her father, her mother, brothers and sisters, her friends, those who knew her. It's horrible. Imagine the pain. And to think of her, like she must have been unbearable searing and an unbearable amount of pain. It takes a special kind of person to want another human being to suffer like that. I like to think that when he passed, she said, nobody else gets to suffer the way I did, so you're coming with me. Like, I'm taking you out of this world. What's increasingly worrying is that female athletes seem to be in an increasing amount of danger in Kenya at the moment. As this is not the only case of an athlete having their life being taken by a partner, ex-partner that was in their lives. So yeah, it's boring because there's 3 other cases that happened very, very recently. Because it seems like they are a target because they are seen to have, because of their level of success, they are seen to have money, and they can in fact they can end up being targets of, make no doubt, these women are very strong women, and things don't go these men's way in these situations, it would seem, they have decided to, the ultimate worst thing we can do to another human being in this world, where you're an individual is so selfish that they're like, I am going to take it upon myself. Anyway, yeah, so it's horrible. It's horrible. It's very, very depressing. Yes. Rebecca was laid to rest in the middle of September, mid-September, in Uganda, her hometown. She was reportedly buried with her military honors. Uganda also honored her. The people filled the streets in marching in her honor. The city of Paris also honored her at the Paralympics, I think mainly because the Olympics had already finished and kind of come to a close by then. So yes, the city of Paris also honored her at the Paralympics. And the following was said: Paris will not forget her. We'll dedicate a sports venue to her so that her memory and her story remains among us, and help us carry the message of equality. I don't think many people would have said that better, but yeah, so Rebecca, may she rest in peace. May her family find healing. I can't imagine what they're going through. I honestly cannot imagine. I can't imagine what the family is going through. Yeah, but may she rest in peace, and may her spirit soar. Thank you for joining me for today's video, and yes, until next time.